Trying to live my life better every day. Yeah. Don't take for granted I'm living. It's mine, baby.
What's going on, Tank?
What's going on, brother? Want
So
to make sure my audio is all right.
talk to me about Mungía, man, because I'm trying. I remember the last time I seen Mungía was a couple of years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and he looked good. And then I know he fought somebody, like an African guy or somebody that they said they thought he lost to. Am I right or wrong about that?
Yeah, right. That's right.
Who did
But
they say he thought he lost to?
I forgot the guy's name. I can't think of it off top. I got to think of it. It'll come back to me though. But yeah,
Oh,
he's one of the talented young fighters. Um, and to answer your question about whether he has a belt or a piece of the titles, he doesn't. But he's a number one contender for both the WBC and the WBO world title at middleweight.
so since he's the number one contender, well, how did Gabe get lined up for this fight with him? Like, is Gabe up there as well? Because I don't even know. I just know Gabe won that last fight that he wasn't supposed to win.
That's the interesting thing about the situation is that people are feel that Mungia should have by now exercised his number one contender spot or his number one ranking. I'll say it that way. His number one ranking in both the WBC and the WBO, and use those rankings to um, parlay his way into a championship title fight versus Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andre by now. However, he has, for whatever reason, under the guidance of Golden Boy, has decided not to. So it's unclear whether that's his management team and Eric Gomez and Oscar De La Hoya, or if that's just his decision where he wants to go another route. And where Gabriel Rosado fits in is Rosado. He's that journeyman that is going to make everybody fight look like a tough fight, right? Like we said, he's like that Emmanuel Augustus of this era, where people look at him as like, is he a gatekeeper or a contender, right? But as we know in boxing, once you're a pro, you get the experience under your belt as a pro. You're a contender for the title as long as you get the opportunity, right? And
Right.
that's where Gabriel Rosado was at. He got a match with um, um, Daniel Jacobs, um, and some people feel that he won that fight, even though he took a loss in that fight. But because of um, his decision to come out there and box, I think that kind of took away from some of the expectation as far as what the judges wanted to see, because we're not used to seeing Gabriel Rosado come out there and actually go out there and box per se. He's usually a fighter who's willing to get hit, cut, banged up just to get a win. And he didn't do that against Danny Jacobs. Some could say because of the crowd, some could say because of the game plan, some could say because of the respect for Danny Jacobs himself. But nonetheless, that's what he did, and he came out with a loss. But he bounced back, and he just got that knockout win, which was a candidate of the year as far as knockouts, and put himself back into the forefront of the conversation and people's vision in vision in the division. And so now he's landed the Mungia fight.
Right. Now, I thought he looked good against Danny Jacobs, and I thought he looked great with the knockout in his last fight. Now, what do you know about Mungia as of recent? Like, do you think, like, what's your prediction going into this fight? What do you think? Because, I mean, obviously, we know Gabe is like a hit or miss. You don't really know. Like, I mean, I thought what he did with Danny Jacobs, I think, yes, he could have pressed the gas a little bit more, but he was doing so well in the fight. You almost don't want to give up. You also don't want to give up, you know what I mean? What he felt was a lead, because if he starts to get too aggressive, then he can kind of get countered and run into some shots. He probably felt that he was doing so good. Why take any unnecessary chances? But what do you feel about Mungia? Because I haven't seen Mungia in quite a while, and you probably have. What do you think about this matchup?
I think it's a good matchup because you have a guy Mungia who's a guy who's projected to be um, as as some of the younger guys, the Virgil Ortizes, the Jerron Ennis's, as to be the next crop of young talent to move up in the sport of boxing as one of the future bright stars in the sport. Um, Jaime Munguia was that guy, like you said, even up to 2 years ago was the same way. Recently, like I said, the issue that people have is, well, if you're being ranked number one, why are you not challenging yourself and then taking that next step up and taking on, let's say, a Jamal Charlo or a Demetrius Andrade? You obviously have done whatever you needed to do in order to earn the right to be in the position to get a title shot against either of those guys. What is keeping you from doing so? Um, and so, as far as that's what brings into the question of his mental state in terms of his determination to take it to the next level and become a world champion. So those are the questions that we have about Jaime Munguia, but they have nothing to do with his skill set as a boxer. As a boxer, everything looks like it's right. You know what I'm saying? Everything he passes the eye test, as they say. When it comes to Gabriel Rosado, we already know what he is. And this matchup is an interesting matchup. That's why I said in the comment section that I wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel Rosado takes him by surprise because of one, Munguia hasn't stepped up in the competition, hasn't fought the guys that Rosado has fought, but also Rosado is not afraid of moments. He's not afraid of the bright lights. He's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to make a fight look ugly, and he can box. You know what I'm saying? So this matchup is interesting. I'm not really a lot of guys like to come on and do predictions and be the guy that says, I told you so. And you see, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be the second round by a left hook to the liver and all that. I'm not that guy. I just like to say what I see. I like to explain why we saw what we saw and go about it that way. But as far as this match, I will say I'm going for Rosado, and this is why. Rosado, if he gets the opportunity to be the number one ranked fighter, whether it's for the WBO or the WBC, I believe he'll take the opportunity and parlay that into a world title shot versus Jamal Charlo and or Demetrius Andrade. And I don't see that out of Munguia right now. And so that's where I'm going with that. You know what I mean? As far as will he win or not, that has yet to be seen. I don't know how they're going to come out. I don't know how their styles are going to mesh once they get in there. Whose power is going to be affected. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that's going to go until we actually see it. But I look forward to seeing it nonetheless because it's a great matchup between the two.
Yeah, man. I think you make a lot of really good points, man. If I had to try to figure out why Munguia hasn't done what you said, I would say I looked on his box rec. He had a couple of names on there. I think he had on Gary O'Sullivan, Saddam Ali, I believe I saw on there. Just a couple of names, but I haven't seen him really fight any real serious top-notch competition yet. And I think that if I was his handlers, based off of the fact that he had a difficult fight with another gentleman, which I wish I knew who it was. I didn't even see the fight. I just know that I heard about it. Maybe they're trying to see, they believe in him, but they want him to pass this test for experience. And a guy like Gabriel Rosado brings a name. He brings excitement, and he's as experienced as you can ask for. And if Munguia looks good against Gabriel Rosado, I think that they will have more confidence moving forward with a Charlo fight or something like that. Now, a Demetrius Andrade fight,
I think you froze, Coach.
Oh, am I frozen?
You good now? You said as far as the Demetrius Andrade fight, and then you froze. Go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the Demetrius Andrade fight, I think Demetrius Andrade is somebody that everybody avoids for good reason, and I just don't see anybody barking up that tree unless they have to. But I do see a Charlo as an opportunity for Mungía or Rosado. So you make a lot of good points, man. But I think Mungía is just looking to build more ring experience. I think they feel he needs it, and I think that this is the right guy. I mean, if Rosado wins, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Rosado, I think he's found his rhythm. So if Rosado wins, I'm happy for him, being that he's from the area, and I hope that, and I know his trainer, his real trainer who really trained him, Billy Briscoe, very well. And, I hope he does it.
Big facts, coach. You know what else is though? This is my thing though, and I hate to harp on this, but we talking boxing, and so it's no hard feelings on any of these guys. These guys are in the position they are in because they put in the hard work and they deserve it, right? But at the same time, uh, Mungía has 37 fights with 30 knockouts, and he's been fighting for about 8 years as a pro. I mean, so at what point do you take that next level? At what point do you? How much confidence do you need? You have to wait until you're in your 40th win. I'm not asking you. I'm just speaking. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, we're in an era where fighters are getting opportunities. They're being fast tracked and getting opportunities in their 15th and 16th fight, like a Teofimo Lopez and these guys and whatnot. So at some point, people are going to start to ask the question, "What's going on, Jaime Munguia?" You're going to wait till you have 47 fights to step up.
Yeah,
And
I mean the thing
you know
about
what I'm saying?
Mungía though, it reminds me of Canelo when Canelo came into the game with 40 pro wins and 0 losses. Is like 37 wins against who? I mean,
Right.
Gary O'Sullivan, I don't know, I didn't even see that fight, but we know Gary O'Sullivan looked good. I think one time that I can say that I seen he looked good. I think that was against Lemieux or somebody. No, not against Lemieux. Somebody else. He looked good, and then when he fought Antoine Douglas, and then Saddam Ali has no business fighting at that weight. Saddam Ali's a freaking 147 pounder, and he's already, over the hill. So I mean, I don't really know who Munguia has fought. He got a padded record. He got a pretty record, but in reality, it's not a real solid record like a Teofimo Lopez or some of these guys who fought better competition a lot quicker. So that goes to show you, man, when you start padding your record and you start to believe your own hype, which a lot of these young fighters do, when they have to step up, it shows. And that's why when somebody asked me the other day, what is my thoughts on young fighters today? I said they believe their own hype too much. They allow the fact that social media and the people around them and their padded record gasses them up, making them feel like they're more than what they are. I know guys with fantastic records that can't fight worth a lick. Then I'm like, damn, you lucky I'm freaking not boxing, because you'd be a perfect person. I like to fight, with your undefeated record, and you know what I mean. I look good. It'll make me look good. You know what I mean. So you know, it's like these records in boxing are so fabricated nowadays. You don't know who's the truth and who's not. You got a guy like Lomachenko who came into the game, lost his first pro fight or he had a draw. Was it a loss or a draw? Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. When
Can you hear me?
Lomachenko fought his first pro fight, was it a loss or a draw?
No, I don't think he lost into his second fight when he fought Salido.
Okay, so his second fight he lost. If you went across his first 4 fights when he was 4-1, his record looks already tarnished. But in reality, his first pro. I'm sorry, man. His first 4 fights were good fights, and then you got a guy like Munguia who got 37 fights, and you only can name 2 guys on that whole record, maybe 3. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think Gabriel Rosado, I think he is on the Gabriel Rosado level of boxing. I think that he's exactly where he needs to be, despite how beautiful his record looks. I think this is the level. And honestly, Rosado might be at a world championship level the way he's been looking as of recent. So we about to find out tomorrow.
That's big facts. Big facts. And I think that in contrast to Munguia, that Gabriel Rosado, should he win this fight, that's why I said I kind of want him to win the fight, because I know that he is ready to go for a world title. You know what I mean? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If he gets a number one contender position, he is going to challenge Jamal Charlo and or Demetrius Andrade. He might mess around and challenge both. He might take on one and then take on the other. You know, that's the kind of mentality that he has, and he's at a stage in his career where it benefits him to do so. Whereas Mungía, like you pointed out, he's still, regardless of his record, he's still 25 years old and he's still on the way up. You know what I mean? My whole conversation about that earlier was just dealing with, I know how boxing works, like yourself and like a lot of people in the chat. I understand how these narratives end up going. They're gonna ask, you are the number one ranked fighter, Mungía. Take the next step. And if he doesn't, they're gonna say, why you keep waiting? You know what I mean? The questions are just going to be there because that's part of the business. Right?
1 mile, turn right onto Dutch.
But I think it's still going to be an awesome fight. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight because of the styles that both guys have. The thing that it makes it hard to predict is what they come out with on fight night. Because if you would have asked me, I would have said that based off of what we've seen between Daniel Jacobs and Gabriel Rosado before they fought, you know, when they had their run in a couple years ago, I would have told you that I would have quote unquote predicted that they would have went in there and tried to slug it out and beat the hell out of each other. But that's just not what happened. You know what I mean? So you never know what's going to happen until fight night. What the coaches on the respective teams came up with in terms of their game plans and how the fighters are able to execute them or have to go to plan B come fight night. And to me, that's what's intriguing about boxing, not just predicting what's going to happen ahead of time and then being able to say, I told you so. You know, I like to see the story unfold in the ring. And this is one of those fights where we're going to see that, in my opinion. And it's going to be.
I think we're going to see an exciting fight tomorrow. I think it's very impossible for it to not be an exciting fight. You got a guy like Rosado who can do it all, box, brawl, has no problem getting bloody in the fight. And you got a guy like Mungía who, you know, he already showed that he ain't scared to let his hands go and work. So I predict an exciting fight tomorrow. I'm definitely, if somebody asks me who I think's gonna win, I can't answer who I think's gonna win because I haven't seen enough of Mungía as of recent. But I do say if I'm gonna have to, you know, verbally say who I want to win, obviously it's gonna be Gabe Rosado. Gabe Rosado is from the Philadelphia area. I like to support most of the Philadelphia or New York guys. I'm from New York City, but I'm in Philly, so sometimes I go back and forth on that. But you know, I'm definitely gonna go for the Philly guy. I'm definitely going to go for the guy who's shown that he's not afraid to fight anybody, has laid it on the line time and time and time again. And the only thing I wish is I just wish my man Billy Briscoe was in that corner with him because Billy deserves to be there in these moments because when he worked with Gabe, you know, he took Gabe from nothing and turned him into something, and then Gabe decided to move on with his career for whatever reasons. He might have the greatest reason on earth on why he did it. But as a coach, I wish I would see my man Billy Briscoe in that corner with him. But nevertheless, you know, I'm excited about tomorrow night.
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And listen, just so y'all see, hold on, what am I doing right here? I guess that's the cam. That's the face. All right, yeah, y'all can see I'm just pulling off to the hospital now, guys. So Tank, man, you've been the perfect guest, man. I mean, you're very informative, man. I love your boxing knowledge, man. You're doing a great job on your end, and I'm gonna have you come on as much as possible so you can teach me a thing or two about what's going on in the game because I don't even know. You know what I mean?
We'll get you caught up, Coach. I appreciate you, man. Letting me on the platform once again. You be safe, man. Get everything checked out. Hope all is well, and you know what I'm saying, praying for you.
Yeah, you got to know it's been a long time coming. Yeah. Some niggas that I run with, sitting up in jail cells, suffering, sitting on the outside, suffering. Hard to imagine that close to you, living life so tragic. So I spit it so graphic. Poverty on my blocks by the masses. Hater training camp.